Hi everybody, this is Aisha and welcome to another book talk. And today I'll be talking about books that are appropriate for preschool age kids that are all about animals that live in the water. And so I have some books that cover the topics and themes of friendship, bullying, some that are really pretty funny stories that are humorous, and also some stories that kind of talk about family life and regular routines. And so I have some pretty cool titles to cover in this book talk. So the first one that I'll cover is I'll talk about some books that are good friendship stories. And the first one I'll show you is a book that's called Mouse and Hippo, and it's by Mike Toohey. And this book is actually about an unlikely friendship between the characters on the front of the book, Mouse and Hippo. And so how the story goes like this. Mouse kind of gets stuck in a jam, and he gets into a little bit of trouble, and Hippo sees that Mouse needs help. So Hippo goes and he gives Mouse the help that he needs, and then Mouse appreciates this so much that Mouse wants to do something nice for Hippo. And Mouse puts a little something together, and he does something really nice for Hippo in return. And after that, they become really good friends. And so this is a very simple story, but it's also engaging and interesting. And the illustrations are really cool too. And it shows kids how easy it is to make friends, even if you're a little different from the other person or the other people. And it also talks about helping and how important it is to help people out, help others out when you see that someone needs help, and how it's such a nice gesture, and most people will be very appreciative when you give help when they need it. And so that is Mouse and Hippo by Mike Toohey. And the next friendship book that I would like to recommend is called Nugget and Fang, Friends Forever or Snack Time. And it's by Tammy Sauer. And so as you can see on the cover, Nugget and Fang are a fish and a shark. And kids might wonder if fish and sharks can't be friends, because don't sharks eat fish? And so the other fish and the other sea animals in this story are asking that same question. And it's a really funny story. So the kids will really like it and get a lot of laughs. And this is again another example of a story that talks about how, how it's easy for people or anyone, even animals, to become friends, even if you think it might not work out. You just try. Everybody has something in common with someone else. And so if you're looking for a story that talks about friendship, this is a good pick, Nugget and Fang. Friends Forever or Snack Time. And the third book that I picked out to recommend about friendship is called Poor Little Guy, and this is by Alana Allen. And this story is it's about friendship, but it actually touches on bullying as well. And so it gives a little lesson about how to deal with bullying, but it's perfect for the preschool age kids, because it's not the bullying is not severe, and it's not something and the lesson is not overly complicated. And so you can it can open up a chance to talk to your kids or your students about how important it is to make sure that you're being nice, or to pay attention to what you're saying or how you're treating other people. And in the story, we have little pufferfish here, and this big thing here on the side, which is actually an octopus. And so the little pufferfish is swimming along, and octopus comes up, and it seems like octopus really wants to play and hang out and talk and be friends with pufferfish, but pufferfish can't really be sure if octopus is a nice guy or if he's mean. You know, pufferfish is kind of rough, he's big, and not pufferfish, I'm sorry, octopus is it's kind of rough sometimes, and octopus is a lot bigger, and pufferfish just can't be sure if octopus is really going to be a good friend. And the story has a surprise ending, so I won't give that away, but I would highly recommend this book to preschool age kids for your preschool classroom or for at home when you're reading with your kids for fun. And next I have a group of books on water animals that are really funny and humorous. And one of my very favorite books of all time is called This Is Not My Hat by John Clausen. I love this book. I've read it many times, and I've read it to so many kids, and they all love it. And the preschool age kids especially really love this story. And it's the story is very simple, and you'll find that you really have to pay attention as you're reading to catch some of the funny parts. But the basic story is all about this guy here, this fish, and he's swimming along, and you see he has a little hat. And the question comes up, where did this fish get this hat from? And does it belong to the fish? And so the fish tells the story about how he found the hat and how he got it. And the ending this is another book with a surprise ending. So it's really funny. The story is simple. And I could read it over and over again, as I have, and I'm sure your kids will too. And let's see. Oh, and I have another book that is a really funny story, and it's called The Three Little Fish and the Big Bad Shark, and it's by Ken Geist. And this book is basically a humorous take on the Three Little Pigs. And so if you know the story of the Three Little Pigs, you'll know what this story is about. And so it's just the three little pigs, and it just happens to be set, instead of on land or in the forest with pigs, it's set in the ocean with fish. And instead of the big bad wolf, there's a big bad shark. So if you like that story, you'll love this one. It's very funny, and I highly recommend it. And finally, for our funny books about water animals, there is Gilbert Goldfish Wants a Pet. And this is by Kelly DiPuccio. And she writes really funny books, and it's illustrated by Bob Shea. And Bob Shea has really cool illustrations. And basically this book is about Gilbert the goldfish, and you would think isn't a goldfish a pet? So the pet wants a pet? So that's part of the humor of this book, is that Gilbert wants a pet, and he kind of thinks about the different kinds of animals that could possibly be a pet for a goldfish. And again, this funny book it's another book that I picked up that has a surprise ending. So Gilbert actually does end up finding a perfect pet for him. But before that happens, he kind of thinks about and tries to imagine different animals that could be a pet for a goldfish, but there's always seems to be some reason why it just won't work out. So your kids will crack up laughing at this story, and they'll enjoy the ending as well, I'm sure. And the last few books that I have to recommend today are they're about different topics, all about water animals still. But I have one here that is by a classic author, Eric Carle, and it's Mr. Seahorse. And this book talks all about, if your kids have no idea about seahorses, and you wanted to show them something or read a book about it, this is a good place to start. It's a story book, and it also has other types of fish and sea animals, ocean animals in it that go along that you see in the story. And it's also about families and family routine. And in the story, Mr. Seahorse and Mrs. Seahorse, the kids can see that they're gonna have babies, and Mr. Seahorse is taking care of the babies while Mrs. Seahorse is going off doing whatever it is that she needs to do. And as he travels along, swims along in the ocean, he meets the other animals and their kids, and the kids get to see how these animals live their regular lives and what they do in the while they're in the ocean. And the pictures, of course, are very cool. Like, and so if I didn't learn about seahorses until I was, maybe like 7 or 8 years old. So I always found seahorses to be very interesting. So this is a good place to start if your kid is interested in seahorses or a water animal that's different than just fish and the regular animals that we normally kind of think about when we think about water. And speaking of different sea animals or different water animals, I have Jump Frog Jump by Robert Callan. And this is an older book, and it's actually one of those books that use repetition and build up, kind of like The House That Jack Built. And so in the book, Frog is going about his day, and he's hungry, so he's trying to catch animals to eat, but there are also other animals that are trying to trying to eat the frog. And so Frog keeps getting away from the animals that want to eat him, and the story builds up and the words repeat as you go along through the story. So by the end of the story, your kids will probably be able to read it along with you and say all the words because they've heard them consistently throughout the story, and they build up. I like stories like these because they help to build a child's vocabulary, and they have a sense of rhythm to them, and the pattern, so that's important as well in building reading skills and math skills as well. So and these illustrations are very interesting, and so the kids will really like this one, and it's about frogs, so if your kid is into frogs, they'll really like this story too. And the last book I have for this book talk is by a very popular author, Lois Ehlert, and it's called Rainfish. And it's a very simple story, which is basically about, she talks about fish and she shows them swimming in the water and how they live and what they do from day to day in the whatever body of water they live in the ocean, in a river, in a stream, in a lake. But the cool thing about this book, of course, that you would expect from Lois Ehlert is the illustrations. And so she has this technique where she puts together all different types of materials and things to make the pictures, make the animals and the objects that are in the story. So everything on every page, there's a different work of art, and your kids will really enjoy these illustrations, and they will like the story because it's very relatable and it teaches them something about fish. And you can even go through and kind of point out, if you like, the different objects that are used in each picture to make the fish. And you might think that in a lot of stories and books about fish, they usually have all the fish look the same, or they might be different colors, but they all pretty much look the same. Well, in this story, all the fish look different. Let's see, let me open it up to one page. So here's an example. There's fish here that are made from all different types of scraps of things, but there are 3 fish here, but they all look pretty different, and then that's pretty cool. And so that is my book talk on water animals for preschool children. And for programs and future events and more information about what's coming up at the library, check out our website and our social media. Thanks again, and see you soon.